Hello everyone, Athena Artiste here doing a briefing on the release of Colonial Charter 1.61. I'm here on the Colonial Charter website looking at Mr. K's post on the release notes. Do keep in mind for either of these that you do need to be running the beta version of Banished, and of course you'll have to manually download it and extract it and install it. All the details, of course, are here. Now let's start down here with talking about some of the changes in this version. And water shrine attendance, I think this is an increase, because as I recall, I think it was like 40, or maybe it was higher. I don't remember. But that's the church that you can build out on the docks. So it's now set at 60. Let's see. I'm not going to read every single one of these, but I want to. Okay, this was another significant change. Tiny houses with a max residency of 4 now. Now, I have never used tiny houses for long-term residency because they are just so tiny. I prefer to get them into better housing as soon as I can. But up until now, if you had a situation, for example, where a family was homeless that was, say, 6 in number, if you built them a tiny house, they would all move into it. But from reading this, I'm wondering now if only 4 of them would make it in there. So leaving 2 of them still homeless. So that's an interesting change, and I do understand maybe why they did it. Because I think the tiny houses were just meant to be a leapfrog. You use them at the start of your game, and then you don't use them later on. Now, this is another one which I had wanted to look at, and forgive me if I'm mispronouncing things. I think it's Antilles. The sparse, hard starting conditions. That is where you actually have very few trees, rocks, and iron deposits. That one I actually did want to take a look at to see how that would play through. And it looks like they've made it even, or they've either added this or modified it, but that one does look pretty exciting. Again, now the other one I noticed down here was they reduced the radius for the Dockwood Finder to 45. Take, for example, my Waterworld series, where I have all the tree growing in the center of the island, and then the docks are going out all over the place from that. I was going to be using the Dockwood Finder to move those logs that are being grown and cut on the mainland out to where construction is happening there on the docks. But with a radius of 45, that means I might actually have to put in more of them, depending upon how far out from the mainland I am, because I might have to leapfrog them. So that is a pretty significant change right there. They've also reduced the radius for the edibles market, which is, I guess, a sort of where they collect food from, so that's smaller. Let's keep going down here. Here's another significant change. They tweaked the crop growth and temperature cycles, which I think is a pretty good change, because I tend to play under the very harsh climate settings, which means I expect that when that temperature drops down to close to 0 or sub-zero, that any crops or wild foods that are out there on my map, they should die. And I think that that's important, that be honored. And so if they had to make a change there, I'm glad that they did do that. So let's keep scrolling down here. Again, they had tweaked a bunch of different things about the climate settings. Now the sandstone road is a new road type that hopefully will show up under the snow. That is, again, one of the other situations. I can never see the roads. I love all these wonderful mods and things for putting in decorative colored roads, but if you can't see them under the snow, which is how I'm usually playing, it means I can't use them. So I'm really hoping that they have finally addressed that issue. I'm getting down here to where it is that was the most important changes. Let's see. The fuel market cart's been added. Well, that's an interesting one. Yes, in 1.6 we have all these lovely little carts that you could set up. They're just sort of like mini vendors, if you will. They will carry like stone or logs and things like this. They finally have put in one, though, that will stock food, which is really exciting. Plus, they've also added a dry goods seller, which is, I'm quite happy to see, because one of the things I've always, yes, I tend to use a lot of dry goods, so I'm always building usually a dry goods barn or a dry goods quay barn, and it's nice to see that they have finally put one in that's a seller type, which is very good. The other one I'm excited here is right after it. They've enabled, I assume that means that they have improved their compatibility with the happiness and unhappiness radius mods. Now, I did, I think, a pretty good explanation of how the unhappiness mod works at it's roughly the first 10 minutes of my video, the series on Adam and Eve chapter 9. If you're not sure what this is about, I go into explaining how that unhappiness mod works and how it is extremely useful in planning out your development. Happiness mod, which I haven't yet installed and I'm going to be doing, I think works as the reverse of that. So that's, again, one very significant change right there. I'm not sure what this meant by this, that they removed the inventory box, because maybe they did store stuff. Yes, they created things, but I think that that was a problem, that, you know, things that they were growing, that stuff they were getting stuck in there or something. I'm not real sure. But yes, the butcher is another type of building that does cause unhappiness. So they did a change where if it was set to having 0 workers, it was still causing unhappiness. In other words, if it wasn't anybody actually there chopping meats up and everything. Well, now they have, I guess, fixed that. So let's see. Oh, the beef cows now will grow and reproduce slightly faster to make up for the fact that they don't give milk. This is the huge change right here for me, which in that the copper, tin, stone, salt, iron, coal mines are now going to be unlimited when you get them upgraded to the 3rd level. This has been a huge annoyance to me as to why I have not actually liked to use them, because you end up with this huge hole in your ground and it's just unsightly, and I don't like it. There's a wood fence gate now again, but this here is so significant. This means I'm actually going to be starting my both my series over within 1.61, so I could take advantage of this fact. Hopefully I will be able to use something of the same seed map, and that is why I'm putting this video together and explaining why I'm doing that. I will play them up to the point of where they are, more or less, but things are going to be different from that point on. But that is why, because this change to me is huge, and that is why I am going to go with 1.61. So, with that said, that will explain why I'm going to be starting my series over. And when you see those, whatever, let's see, it would be chapter 10 for the Adam and Eve start, and chapter 3 for the water world, things will probably look a little bit different insofar as the setup and things like that, but I will try to get things as much as possible to the way they were in those chapters that I already have shot and produce and put on my YouTube channel. So thanks for watching, and if you have any comments, by all means, let me know. Thank you. Bye.